Hello everybody, my name's Dr. Charlotte Pennington and I'm going to be teaching you for the next following weeks on the module Constructing Gender in Society. Today's lecture is going to be on educational equity and how gender might influence scholastic achievement. After today's lecture, you should be able to meet the following learning outcomes. Learning outcome 1 is to be able to critically assess whether single gender classrooms help to reduce gender achievement gaps, and learning outcome 2 is to critically reflect on how gender is constructed within society. In Western cultures, there is a gender achievement gap with males and females differing in educational attainment. For example, females tend to outperform males in the majority of school subjects, particularly in English language and literacy. However, males tend to outperform females in mathematics and science subjects. Many factors have been proposed to account for differences in females' and males' educational attainment, including self-efficacy, motivation, parental and teacher expectations, and even the format of achievement tests. Because of these performance clefts, schools have implemented different interventions to try and reduce gender achievement gaps. Although met with considerable controversy, one such solution is that of single-gendered education. Single-gendered education means that females and males are separated within schools and classrooms and taught on their own. Proponents of single-gendered classrooms argue that they have a positive impact on academic self-concept, educational transition, as well as attainment and interest. They argue further that they may lessen negative gender stereotypes, particularly for females in mathematics and science subjects. In this way, single-gendered education is said to lessen experiences of stereotype threat, whereby females apprehend that their performance will be evaluated in line with gender-related expectations. Opponents of single-sex schooling, on the other hand, argue that they might actually exacerbate gender-related stereotypes, as students question why they have been separated from their opposite-sex peers. They also may contribute to a fixed ability mindset, whereby students believe that they have been segregated from either males or females because of their gender. In addition, single-sex schooling may come at a longer-term cost to successful gender role socialisation and intergroup cooperation when females and males are eventually reintegrated together in classrooms or in the workplace. However, when we look at the literature published on single-sex classrooms and education, they are plagued with methodological weaknesses. For example, when evaluating the efficacy of single-sex schooling, researchers usually compare attainment in single-sex compared to mixed-sex schools. However, schools usually use selective admissions to assign females and males to single-sex schools. What this means is that those with higher ability get first choice of single-sex schooling compared to those with middle and lower ability who end up in comprehensive mixed-sex schools. Therefore, when we compare research, looking at the differences in educational attainment between different schools, there are problems. This problem is that students may differ naturally in their ability, and we cannot make firm conclusions about whether single-sex schooling is effective. When looking to the published literature, there seems to be many different studies that do not control for prior ability. Therefore, this is a methodological weakness, as we may be concluding that single-sex schooling has positive effects on attainment, but this is only because these students actually did better in the first place. This problem is highlighted by a meta-analysis conducted by Palk et al. In 2013. She looked at 184 studies and 1.6 million students to evaluate the efficacy of single-sex schooling compared to mixed-sex schooling. What they did in this meta-analysis was to see whether the effect size of how good single-sex schooling was better than 0. So 0 would mean that there is no effect within the population. What they found was that studies that did not control for prior ability had a modest advantage, so students were doing a little bit better in those schools. However, studies that did not control for prior ability seemed to show little effect. This meant that students did not differ when they were taught in either single-sex schools or mixed-sex schools. Palk et al. Concluded that high-quality studies do not support the view that single-gendered education bolsters academic attainment. However, they also made the case that there is relatively less research examining interventions in co-educational schools. This is where the same school assigns students to either single-gender or mixed-gender classrooms and then evaluates their ability. My research therefore set out to achieve this. We looked at whether single-gender classrooms bolstered academic attainment in a UK comprehensive school. We had 266 secondary school students who were 11 to 12 years old. They were assigned to either single-gender or mixed-gender classrooms, and they sat identical standardised tests in all school subjects. So this is English, mathematics, science, history, art, etc. And the most important thing we did was controlled for their prior ability pre-intervention and compared this to their ability post-intervention. Now what you can see here is negative scores. What we did was we subtracted their predicted scores away from their actual scores. So here you can see that all students were underperforming in comparison to their predicted grades. However, when we looked at classroom type and whether students were assigned to single-gender or mixed-gender classrooms, you can see that there is no significant difference in attainment as a function of these classroom types. You can see that the confidence intervals overlap 0, suggesting that there is no significant difference. Therefore, we concluded that when you control for prior ability, single-sex classrooms may not have a positive effect on educational attainment. Therefore, we showed that controlling for selection effects, there was no significant difference in attainment as a function of classroom type. However, when prior ability was not controlled for, this intervention appeared to be highly, but wrongly, effective. In summary, there's a dearth of literature suggesting that gender-segregated schooling enhances academic attainment. However, this is plagued by many methodological confounds. My research showed that when controlling for prior achievement, single-gender classrooms appear to have little effect on performance. Therefore, single-gendered classrooms may not be effective in reducing gender achievement gaps. We found that females outperform males in all school subjects, irrespective of their classroom type. It did not matter whether they were assigned to single-sex or mixed-sex classrooms. In your seminar, you are going to reflect on these pieces of research and debate whether you believe single-sex classrooms may bolster academic achievement. I want you to reflect on the following things. Society tends to view gender as a binary construct, and I want you to question, should it? Should children be segregated by gender within education? I also want you to think about what ethical issues might be posed by segregating children based on their gender. I want you to think about the long-term effects this might have on their behaviour and attitudes, whether this be in relation to school or the workplace. I have also comprised the following recommended reading. The first is a NOBA project, which gives a layperson's summary on research into gender, in psychology. The next 4 articles are seminal pieces within this research, and 2 of these include my research on single-sex schooling. Of course, you are more than welcome to email me any questions, and I look forward to hearing your debates in the seminar. Thank you.